So the other day, George Galloway mentioned Corbyn's name and essentially asked him to join an alliance. This is a clip from Not the Andrew Marr Show, where they documented Galloway's campaign and his subsequent win.
I haven't spoken to him for many years, personally. I speak to people who speak to him, and he speaks to people who speak to me, but I haven't spoken to him in many years. So I don't know why he has procrastinated so long in making a final total break with Labour and leading something himself. If he was here now, I would say to him, you saw what happened last night. Set up, announce an alliance of the remaining socialists in the country. You lead it. I'll support it. You be the leader. And let's go. Time is running out. The general election might be 3 months from now.
So Corbyn hasn't personally responded, but people close to him have seemingly rejected the offer. Galloway wants Jeremy to be the leader of some new great movement, but I don't think Jeremy would do that. He doesn't need Galloway's baggage. George and Jeremy may have spoken at the same rallies during the Iraq War, but they have not ever been close comrades. George Galloway is a lone wolf. It's how he operates. Another source branded the idea Mr. Corbyn could join Mr. Galloway's Workers' Party as a complete non-starter. They may agree over Gaza, but they have totally different politics. It wouldn't be in Jeremy's interests. Now, I'm personally glad Corbyn turned him down. I think Galloway is toxic, and I think he just has bad politics. He's a campist, right? His foreign policy is essentially the West bad, everyone else good. To be an anti-imperialist, you should oppose imperialism, whether it's the US, whether it's Russia, or anyone else, not to be selectively against it when the West do it themselves, which is basically Galloway's position on foreign policy. Of course, it goes without saying that he is objectively correct on Gaza, just as he was on the war in Iraq. And it wasn't just his political positions, but his ability to make mincemeat out of the corporate media who push a pro-Israel agenda and a pro-war narrative. He takes no bullshit, which is something the left absolutely lacks. Look, if you're familiar with this channel and you're familiar with me, you know my feelings towards him. I think his support for Assad historically makes him pretty damn bad. He's supposedly economically left-wing and socially conservative. Yet, I don't actually hear him talk about economics enough. The Workers' Party is apparently communist. I want him to talk more about communism. And this is coming from someone who isn't a communist, but I think it's good for politics and is good for democracy to widen the debate. I mean, right now, the level of debate in Parliament is, should we do a little bit of neoliberalism or should we do a lot of it? So I think George Galloway's social views, I think his lack of domestic politics and him seemingly willing to support regimes if they are antagonistic to the West, disqualifies him from being a good leader of the left or trying to make pacts with Corbyn. Now, I'm going to take my personal bias hat off for a second, and I'm going to be objective and see whether an alliance would be strategically a good thing. And the answer I come up with is maybe, maybe not. I know that's not a riveting answer, but there are some real problems here. So optically, it would be a nightmare, as I've pointed out. Galloway is toxic. We know Corbyn is embroiled in a legal case against Nigel Farage after smearing him. The media thinks Corbyn is Hitler 2.0. His entire leadership, he's had people inside and outside the Labour Party calling him a Putin apologist. They said he sides with terrorists and he doesn't have Britain's interests at heart. So then for him to team up with Galloway in a formal way or even a new party, when Galloway has made excuses for Putin and blames the invasion on the West, does look pretty bad. And I don't see how this would unite the left. I mean, the majority of people, not just leftists, but the majority of people in this country are fairly progressive on trans rights. And then when it comes to the left, that's just an even bigger majority. Galloway's views on trans people are in direct conflict with many of our views. If Corbyn allied with him, what does that say to those who are socially progressive, who support Corbyn? I mean, that would leave a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm sure it would be the same for many others. Plus, a lot of Corbyn's support comes from young people, which they certainly won't like some of Galloway's politics. So really, I'm unsure how successful this would be. However, there could be an opportunity, and that is some sort of anti-establishment alliance. And I think it's important to work with people you fundamentally disagree with if you have a common goal. I mean, Bernie Sanders has worked with libertarians in the past in the US when it came to war. That's a good thing. And also having another strong voice for Palestinians is good in Parliament. But to me, if there was a pact, it would have to be a really, really informal one. But what does an informal pact even look like? That I don't know, because if there was an informal pact, the media would sniff it out, and then I guess it's no longer informal, and we'd run into the same issues with optics, as I mentioned earlier. So I personally remain unconvinced, even when I put my feelings towards Galloway aside. And it's a shame that Galloway doesn't have better politics, because the two of them together would have lots of people behind them, united. They would be a force. But the difference in politics, I think, is just too much for it to be effective. Probably the best thing, I think, is to have a campaign that isn't led by Corbyn or George Galloway, but a grassroots one, which essentially backs a mixture of candidates at the next election, whether that's independents, Greens, or even some good Labour MPs. Because I think we need a change of guard from the left, not one that looks toward people like George Galloway, but one that is more youth-led. One where it's not Corbyn leading from the front, but supporting from the back. Look, he's an incredible campaigner. We all know that. And I think it's important that we don't get stuck to individuals. Plus, if Jeremy does indeed stand as an independent in Islington North, he needs every vote he can get. And I just don't think it would be sensible, potentially alienating some voters who like Jeremy Corbyn but despise Galloway. I think that could hinder his independent campaign. And I really want to see him win that. If he does stand, really want him to see him win that election. The voters of Islington North deserve to at least get the chance to vote for him. Because let's be honest, the Labour candidate in that area is going to be some corporatist, Starmerite clone. Now, I hope people watching get what I'm trying to say. Look, I'm just one person. A movement is a collection of people. And I'm sure there are many people out there with different ideas. But I personally think there should be a change of guard. And that doesn't seek to reanimate old leaders. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment, because I have a feeling that some of the things I've said will be very contentious to some of you. But I'm doing this in good faith, and I like a discussion. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm, and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month. And if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.